Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I am going to give a few more minutes for a few others to join us, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Good morning again. For those who weren't here just a few minutes ago, we're going to go ahead and get started. I just want to confirm, though, before I start, do a little sound check. Can everybody hear me? All right. And see my screen, the PowerPoint. All right. Perfect. All right. So this is the webinar for Electronic Visit Verification, also known as EVV. Our meeting agenda today is just a welcome and introduction. What is EVV? We're going to talk a little bit about the federal mandate and the exemptions tied to EVV. We're going to talk about agency with choice and EVV and the system that we are using, which is HHA Exchange. We are going to go over AWC EVV implementation and clocking in and out and agency with choice EVV roles. And we'll also talk about how EVV will affect the consumer and their staff. And then we'll open it up for any questions or comments, and we'll be able to pinpoint you to some additional resources. All right. What is electronic visit verification, also known as EVV? EVV is a web-based system that verifies when supports and services occur and documents the exact time the services begin and end. It ensures that consumers are receiving their supports and services as authorized, and it allows for SDEs or staff to confirm where the services were delivered. It requires electronic clock in and clock out method using the phone call or the geolocation by smartphone application. The federal EVV mandate in section 12006 of the 21st Century Cures Act and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, they've mandated that electronic visit verification will be required for all personal care services by January 1st, 2021. The mandate requirements are the types of services performed, individuals receiving the services, date of service, location of service delivery, and the individual providing the service and the time the service begins. I will say that Easter seals, we were diligently working with HHA Exchange, and we were encountering some technical issues. That is why we had delays in launching EVV. But most, if not all, other equivalent organizations did start in January. The federal EVV mandate continued. All service providers will be required to use EVV. Agency with choice services impacted by EVV will be all Medicaid funded home-based services. This includes individual supports, community-based supports, and respite supports. The EVV exemptions would be if the SDE lives in with the consumer, they are exempt from EVV. There is currently no form required to validate that. However, I do know that the division does plan on coming up with something along a little bit later along, just to have validation for that live-in exemption. And then we have the other exemptions would be SDEs providing virtual services or supports. They would be exempt from EVV also. Agency with choice and EVV. So the only changes that you'll see to the service delivery is now you will see this clock in and clock out of the services, and that will help end the tracking of the services, the start and end locations. The information that we gather or need to do this is we gather the consumer's home phone number, their home address, the anticipated service address. So if they were going to do community-based supports and they always meet at a library, or if they are, meeting out at the day, day programs when they're open. So that could be an anticipated service address that we could have in the system. We can take the workers, the staff's cell phone number and home address, and then we do ask the staff to pick which of the two EVV methods they would like to use, whether that be the calling in, clocking in and out, or the mobile app. HHA Exchange has been selected as New Jersey's statewide EVV system. The Electronic Vist Verification system was created and contracted through HHA Exchange. I'm sorry? Through HHA Exchange, who we've worked very closely with to meet our needs of our organization and our consumers. Our team, along with HHA Exchange, have aimed to create materials and resources that we believe will help you navigate through the transition. HHA Exchange terminology, they do call caregivers or refer to caregivers. Those are your SDEs or your staff. Patient or participant would be the consumer, and then the provider is Easter Seals Agency with Choice. AWC implementation, again, just to mention, due to technical issues, working with Agency with Choice and HHA Exchange, and just getting the system to support the need of Agency with Choice. We were delayed in the rollout of EVV. We are doing a soft implementation starting on 4/5/21. SDEs will be clocking in and out by their preferred method on that date. SDEs will continue to use their current 2-page timesheet and case note submitted by its regular due date. Nothing changes there for their timesheets at all. And there will be weekly live Zoom EVV trainings throughout the month of April, and then a pre-recorded training, which will be one of the ones that occur over the next 2 days, will also be posted on our website, as well as the documents that were provided in the initial email. Just a reminder for our current timesheet process, when you did transition over into Agency with Choice in the fee-for-service model, the timesheet did change. It looks like this right here on the right. And the new timesheet is the 2-page timesheet. First page records the date, time, and service code associated with the service provided. And the second page records the date and individualized activity and service documentation. Both pages do need to be completed fully to process. Timesheets are due weekly by 11:59 p.m. on Saturday. And here's a link just additionally if there's any questions about the timesheets, but that process does remain the same and no changes to that. And this is just the second page of the timesheet. All right, so clocking in and out. Staff will be required to clock in and out for each service visit. Clocking in options are, again, the smartphone application or using the consumer's home phone or the consumer's cell phone. Workers cannot call in and out from their own phones. All right, so clocking in and out using the smartphone app. In the email that was provided to you previously, there were instructions if you wanted to utilize the smartphone app, or if you want to utilize the smartphone app, you do have to register. So there was, instructions on how to register. But the smartphone app for HHA Exchange, it is a free app download. No purchases are required. And what it does is it compares the SDE's location to the listed address using GPS. GPS data is not collected at any time other than when you clock in and clock out. I know that we've had a little bit of concern from some of the staff, just wondering is this collecting their data regularly and outside of clocking in and out? And just rest assured that it only collects GPS data when you are clocking in and out. And then I will show a brief video on what that process looks like when you're clocking in and out from the mobile app. Just want to confirm we can see this screen change. Okay, perfect.
Welcome to the HHA Exchange Enterprise Electronic Vist Verification Caregiver Training for using GPS with the HHA Exchange mobile app. There are 3 methods that caregivers can use for electronic visit verification. Caller ID using the patient's phone, GPS using the HHA Exchange mobile app downloaded to the caregiver's smartphone and the fob device using any telephone or the HHA Exchange mobile app. This video covers GPS verification using the HHA Exchange mobile app. To learn how to download the mobile app, watch the training video titled Downloading and Registering the HHA Exchange mobile app. So what is GPS? GPS stands for Global Positioning System. GPS is a technology that automobile satellite navigation systems are using to provide us with maps and directions in real time. This same technology is used by HHA Exchange for electronic visit verification, and it's done with the caregiver's smartphone and a free downloadable HHA Exchange mobile verification app. Caregivers can download and use this free app with their Apple and Android smartphones. Instructions for downloading are available in the video titled Downloading and Registering the HHA Exchange mobile app. In order to use GPS, the caregiver downloads the app and registers their ID with their agency or agencies. The mobile app provides a schedule of all of the caregiver's patient visits on the caregiver's smartphone. Let's compare this information with the calendar and visit information in the application. Notice that the mobile app schedule includes all of the visit information, including the patient name, the start and end times of the visit, and the plan of care duties. The mobile app allows the caregiver to clock in and clock out, and to record all of the duties that are required for the visit without needing to make telephone calls or to fill out paper timesheets. So how does the GPS mobile app work? To clock in at the beginning of the visit, the caregiver logs into the mobile app. The caregiver then selects the agency, the current visit, and clicks on the clock in button in the app. Then the caregiver selects GPS as a method of verification. To clock out at the end of the visit, the caregiver once again logs into the app. This time the caregiver selects clock out, and a list of duties for the visit is displayed. The caregiver then records which duties were performed, which duties were not performed, and which duties, if any, were refused. When this is complete, the app will indicate a successful clock out. The mobile app also allows the caregiver to upload any notes, images, and or voice recordings. So how does the GPS mobile app verify this information? When the caregiver clocks in and clocks out, the mobile app records and transmits the caregiver location to the HHA Exchange system. That location information is compared to all of the addresses that are listed in the patient's profile as valid GPS addresses. If the location matches one of the addresses, the visit is automatically verified. If the location does not match any of the addresses, an exception record is created that will require resolution by the agency staff. Now let's go to the actual clock in and clock out process using the mobile app. At the beginning of the visit, the caregiver logs into the mobile app from a valid GPS address in the patient's profile. The caregiver then selects today's schedule. The scheduled visits for the day will display, and the caregiver selects the current visit. Then the mobile app will display the patient name, the visit duration, and the duties. There are buttons for clock in and clock out. The caregiver clocks in by selecting the clock in button and then selects the GPS button as the verification method. A screen then displays indicating that the clock in was successful, and the caregiver selects OK. In order to clock out, the caregiver returns to the mobile app screen and selects clock out. The app then displays the plan of care duties that were to be performed. The caregiver checks off the duties performed, and if a duty was not performed, the caregiver leaves both circles blank. If a duty was refused, the caregiver selects the red circle next to that duty. And for some agencies, a drop box may appear for the caregiver to select a reason for the refusal. When finished, the caregiver selects the Save button at the top right corner of the screen. For some agencies, a patient signature screen may now display. In those cases, the patient signs using their finger. The caregiver saves the signature, and the image of their signature is recorded in the HHA Exchange system. The mobile app then displays a message that the clock out was successful. Once confirmed, the clock in and clock out confirmation times display on the schedule. If the times match the actual appointment times, they will appear in green. If the clock in and clock out times are different, they will appear in red. The mobile app has some additional features which leverage the smartphone's functionality. Selecting the plus symbol on the mobile app screen will display 3 menu options for adding information in the form of notes to a patient.
Because we are still using the 2-page timesheet, it is not a requirement for the SDEs to put in case notes in the EVV app, or when they're calling in. They don't need to record anything because they are still doing that on their timesheet, so they do not have to do it twice. So that is the process, and that's what it looks like when you are clocking in and out of the mobile app. And then there is clocking in and out via phone call. So if you're using this method, you must call in using the consumer's home phone or the consumer's approved phone number, and workers cannot use their own phone, just to reiterate. And we will do a brief demo video for that. Just confirming screen change.
Welcome to the HHA Exchange Enterprise Electronic Visit Verification video series. Caregiver training, caller ID, verified with the patient's phone. There are 3 methods by which caregivers can use EVV for visit verification. Caller ID, which uses the patient's phone. GPS, which uses the HHA Exchange mobile app downloaded to the caregiver's smartphone. And the fob device, which uses the mobile app or any telephone to verify the visit. This video covers caller ID using the patient's phone. So how does caller ID work? Caller ID automatically associates the patient visit to the patient phone number. At the beginning of the visit, the caregiver calls the automated verification system using the patient's phone, and then enters their caregiver assignment ID to clock in. The system records the visit location, date and time, as well as the name of the patient and the caregiver. When the visit is complete, the caregiver again calls the automated verification system to clock out. The caregiver can also enter duties performed by entering the duty IDs. When the caregiver is finished entering duties, they end the call by entering 3 zeros. To verify the visit, the patient's phone number is captured during the call and compared to the approved phone numbers in the patient profile. If the phone number from the call matches one of the approved numbers from the profile, the visit will be verified. If the phone number doesn't match, the visit will be recorded as an exception and will need to be manually corrected. Let's look at an example of the system prompts for a caller ID visit calling. At the beginning of the visit, the caregiver clocks in by calling the automated verification system from the patient's phone. The system automatically prompts the caregiver,
"Welcome to HHA Exchange. Press 1 for call in. Press 2 for call out."
and the caregiver enters 1 to indicate that this is a call in. Then the system prompts the caregiver again.
"Enter your assignment ID."
The caregiver enters their assignment ID. The assignment ID is also called the time and attendance PIN. The system then asks the caregiver to reconfirm their assignment ID. When the caregiver reconfirms, the system provides a confirmation.
"Your call-in has been successfully registered. Goodbye."
Now here's an example of the system prompts for a visit call out. At the end of the visit, the caregiver clocks out by calling the same verification system number from the patient's phone. The system prompts the caregiver,
"Welcome to HHA Exchange. Press 1 for call in. Press 2 for call out."
and this time, the caregiver enters 2 to indicate that this is a call out. Then the system prompts the caregiver,
"Enter your assignment ID."
and the caregiver enters their assignment ID. Then the system prompts the caregiver to record the duties that were performed during the visit.
"Please enter the duty ID."
The caregiver enters the duty ID of the first duty performed.
"Please enter the next duty ID."
If there was more than one duty performed, the caregiver enters additional duties, one at a time, as the system prompts. Certain duties may require additional prompts for more information. If a particular duty was refused by the patient, the caregiver presses the star key before entering the duty ID to record the patient refusal. After entering all of the duties performed, the caregiver enters 3 zeros and the system provides a confirmation.
"Your call out has been successfully registered. Goodbye."
To summarize, caller ID verification uses the patient's home phone and the caregiver's ID to electronically verify the visit time, date, and location, the caregiver and patient name, and all of the duty information. This concludes our training.
All right. And then for this week, just, if you would like to catch the training again, or, one of the live trainings again, or if you have additional staff that were unable to attend, today's training and have not registered, we do have 3 additional trainings this week. We have one later on today at 4 p.m. And then on tomorrow, we have, again, a 9:30 and a 4 p.m. The links to register were sent to you in the email, and they are also here, which will be, resent out, just this PowerPoint video for a resource tool, and also be located on our website. And then I just put in who to contact. I am Asia, the program director for Agency with Choice. I have listed the program manager, Jocelyn Summers, my administrative assistant, in case you need to reach me and I cannot. And then in addition to that, any questions or general inquiries should be going to our customer service team. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Eileen Rivera. I have a few questions.
Okay.
I want to be able to sign on again, but via Zoom, so that I could see as you go through the whole display. I had to call in because I'm at the office at work, so I couldn't do Zoom from the office. But my questions are the following. this goes into effect as of when? April 21st?
So we will be expecting the first group to be fully utilizing EVV by the end of April, actually. But we are doing the soft rollout starting on April 5th, Monday. So there will be.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so everybody will start using those who have partaken in the training and, pick their preferred method. They will start using it April 5th, and we will be working with you, with your staff, just making sure that everybody is in compliance. They're not missing their clock ins, clock outs, etc. They're using the system the way that it's intended to be used, and the expectation will be full compliance by the end of April. So using it without, without issue.
So we'll be told when to download the app, like that we could start, they could start clocking in and clocking out.
Yeah, so on Monday, they can start clocking in and clocking out. They can download the app as soon as they would like to and send their registration code. We have had many people already get registered for the app if they're going to utilize the mobile app, because it does take a little bit of an additional step, right? Because they have to register, download the app, and then they do have to provide, when you register with the mobile app, you get a identification key. And that does have to get provided back to Agency with Choice so that we can put it in the system to link the staff to the participant or the consumer in the system. So if their preferred method is going to be the mobile app, then we do suggest that you start downloading the mobile app and registering and get that code back to us as soon as possible.
Okay. I just have two more questions. So
no problem.
It's recommended that everybody just download, or in our case, I'm gonna have them download it on the mobile. It's just easier that way.
Okay.
And I'll continue doing the timesheets until it all phases out, and then eventually it'll be just on the mobile and not the timesheets and the mobile app, correct?
So we are working on that. Like I said, previously we did have some, a little bit of technical issue just getting the system to support this particular service line, just because it is, self-direction is a little bit different. So we will keep the current timesheet in place just so that to ensure there is no interruption of pay, no interruption with, the billing for Medicaid or anything like that, and make sure that the case notes and requirements. We are not yet fully decided if we will have them 100% only utilizing HHA as their main clock in and clock out and payroll portion. But for the electronic visit portion, it is what we will predominantly be using it for currently. And if, as that changes, we will provide updates before that happens.
Okay, and I just have one last question.
Okay.
When they clock in, right now on the timesheets, there's like for different codes. There's for the II, the ICP,
right,
and there's another one. So throughout the day, they have to clock in, and for each thing that they do, or they do it at the end of the day when they clock out.
So they do that at the end of the day when they clock out, but because they are using the they are still submitting the 2-page timesheet that has those codes already on it. They don't have to do it twice. So they do not have to do it in the EVV system. They just have to do it on their timesheet. Really, when they're using the EVV system, it is just to clock in over the phone and validate that they've connected with the consumer, that they're with the consumer, and then clocking out when they're leaving. And then for the mobile app, it's clocking in, letting that GPS locate them and validate that they are with the consumer at an approved address, and then again clocking out. So we are using EVV strictly for, its EVV purposes. We're not using it as a supplement for anything as far as, Medicaid billing or case note or anything like that.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you. You answered all my questions. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I actually am not sure if anybody has put any questions in the chat, but for some reason I cannot pull up my chat box. So if there were any questions that were put into the chat, if you want to raise your hand or speak up or anything like that, I am still answering questions. Yes, Sean, is that correct, Sean, Ashley? Yeah.
Yes, for the staff that live in
Yes.
Consumer, does the procedure just stay the same? I'm not.
Yeah, so for staff that live in, they're exempt from EVV, so they do not have to do either of the two methods, the clock in via the phone or clock in via the mobile app. They just continue submitting their timesheet as regular. We did place some calls earlier last week just to verify, just to verify staff that were living in and make sure that we had accurate addresses up to date in our system. There is not currently a form in place as far as a waiver form or exemption form for the live-ins that will be coming in the future, but there's just not one currently. So when we called last week just to validate that information, then that means that staff would be exempt.
Okay. I see a question here from Kimberly Lucas, if you want me to read it.
Oh, sure, that'd be great.
It says, who is creating the profiles and plan of care duties? What is my assignment ID number? Where do I get this number? If using the phone method, do we need to enter duty ID info?
Okay, perfect. Lots of good questions. So what's going to happen is after this training, so this training, we do take attendance on the trainings just to see who was all here. And then once this training concludes, you'll actually be reached out to by a customer service representative. That customer service representative will ask you what is going to be your preferred method. Are you going to choose the mobile app, or are you going to choose the phone calling in and calling out? Based off of that information, they will, either help you through the registration of the mobile app if you have not yet registered and provided a code back to us, or they will provide you with your assignment ID number if you're going to use the phone. It's a 5-digit number. I believe it's like 1002. It's relatively simple, not very long number. So they will provide that to you if you do let them indicate that you are going to use the phone option. And then as far as those procedure codes or those activity codes, again, because you're still doing the regular timesheet process, those activity codes you do not have to enter. So if you were using the phone method, you would just click those 3 zeros just to end your call versus entering activity code digits. And then if you're using the mobile app, you would just leave them both unchecked, both the red and the green circles unchecked, and click save to just conclude your clock out. And that's how that goes. As far as registering for the mobile app, if you're going to utilize the mobile app, there was an email that went out that had instructions, but the instructions will also be listed on our website if you need them, or you can reach out to our customer service team and they can help provide them to you also. But the registration's relatively simple. You download the HHA Exchange app, and then you put in your profile information. You would create a username and a password, and then it will give you a code, and it will instruct you. It's very clear in the instructions that code does need to get provided back to us. And then you can send that, just send that as an email to AWC customer service, or you can call, or you can respond to the initial email that went out and provide that code back to us. And then that is what links the staff with the consumer in the system, so that, clocking in and clocking out, you'll see the consumer's name pop up. And I think that answered all your questions. Any additional questions?
Hi, I do have a couple questions. Can you hear me?
Sure. Yep, can hear you fine.
Okay. First question. What I understood is that the times are predetermined, what time the service starts, what time the service ends for the day. Who puts it in the app? What is the predetermined time, of the visit? Do we do that?
So no, we do not. Some agencies that do hire people on a set schedule, they are utilizing that function in HHA Exchange. However, because again, this group, self-direction is a little bit different, and the legal guardian or the consumer is your manager, and your schedule might not be set, especially right now with COVID. So you will not see a preset schedule in when you're calling in or when you're doing the mobile app. It doesn't impact anything when you are clocking in or clocking out. Your numbers may appear red versus green, like how it showed in the mobile app, how they were like green. When you clocked in, the time showed up as green. So it may show up as red, but that doesn't impact anything. It'll still let you clock in and out successfully. And then what happens is we on the back end, we will confirm against your timesheet that you provide to us.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And another question is there going to be options of different, I did hear different addresses, right? So
Yes.
if the service is not specifically only in a household, like if he's being dropped off somewhere, we can use that address as a check-in and check-out too.
Correct. If you're meeting the consumer out in the community, or if your first stop with them is picking them up from a doctor's appointment or picking them up from the day program, that would be when you come in contact with the consumer, like when you meet with the consumer, that is your clock in address. And you can use other addresses. It doesn't have to be, it's like I said, if you're out in the community, what we do is we will verify again with your case notes and things like that. So if you're like, picked up so-and-so from day program, and then we, did the rest of things of our day. And so we do compare those and validate. If we have any questions about the pickup or the clock in or clock out addresses, when it geolocates you, we will call you and just verify, what the activity was for that day. Where did you guys meet at? The system does allow us to add additional addresses. So like if you're always picking them up from the day program or always meeting out at the library, then we can put those reoccurring ones in there. If it is, a different place every single time, then it will be hard for us to capture all of those addresses. But we will, like I said, if there's any discrepancy or confusion about the location, we will call.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any additional questions?
So this is Rose Kuprianov. I just have one question now. I've already downloaded the app while we were, these last few minutes.
Mhm.
So in there, is it going to allow me, I know there's a link, I received an email as well. But on that link, is that where I'm going to start putting in the addresses where Natalie, self-directed employee, provides services? I'm going to put the addresses in for each day.
No. So if you would like to add additional addresses for the locations that the staff will be connecting with Natalie, then you would actually provide those back to us, and we would update them in the HHA portal.
Okay.
It would not be through the mobile app. The mobile app, when you're registering for the mobile app, you're registering as a staff to clock in and out, and you would be putting your information.
Okay.
Not the
All right.
consumers. Yep. All of the consumer information is what we, have in our system, as far as, billing information, and what we receive from the iRecord for, the plan, what those locations are, and what those addresses, phone numbers, etc. So if there is a change or additional phone numbers or addresses that you would like to add, then you would send that to us at customer service, and we will update it in the system.
Okay. Because like I would say, like particularly today, I am probably going to take Natalie over to the gym today, and I'm going to drive her there, and the self-directed employee is going to meet her there.
Right.
So yeah, I just wanted to, so how do I do this? How would I be doing that then? I would just give you the gym address. You will have it in the iRecord in her ISP. It's in there already.
Okay.
So if that's okay. All right.
Yep. So
Okay.
if it's anything outside of what, so So just letting us know that they do pick her up there or meet her there. We will add that as an approved address. You don't,
Okay.
like I said, if it's in the plan, if the address is in the plan, you don't have to provide it to us. We will add it from there, just indicating that you want to use that as an approved address. But if there's anything additional, like a library or, a coffee shop or anything like that they meet at regularly, then you could provide that to us at the AWC customer service email, or you can call them.
Now, suppose something changes, just it's an exception to the rules, like it's not a normal pickup place, or so what do? I just call agency with choice and tell them this is a different pickup spot for Natalie for today, only because of the circumstances. Do I call you ahead? Go ahead.
No, it's fine. So you don't have to call. What'll happen is we'll see the GPS location will be different, and we will contact you, or we will, if the staff is picking up from a different location, when they put that in their case note, like, oh, we went to, this place, or we picked up, I met Natalie here and we did these activities. So we do compare against the case note. And if we can't compare against the case note, then we do call and just validate the address or the location.
Okay. All right.
Any additional questions? All right, perfect. So just like I said before, so based off of the attendance of this training, you will be contacted by the customer service team, and they will be just requesting your preferred method. I do see a couple of names on here that look familiar that have already definitely sent their mobile app codes to us. So thank you guys for taking care of that and getting those back to us. And if you haven't, like I said, the customer service team will reach out to you, identify what your preferred method is, and then they will either provide you with your assignment ID code if you're going to use the phone option, or they will request that you provide the ID code to them if you're using the mobile option. There are 3 other trainings this week, and then we will continue to have trainings every week throughout the month of April. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to our customer service team. We will be updating the website. So everything that you received in the initial email, as far as the instructions for the mobile app, instructions for the phone, and FAQs, as well as one of the pre-recorded trainings, they will be posted on the website coming this week with that information as an additional resource to you.
Asia, this is Ann Martinelli. I do have one more question.
Okay,
my son's self-directed employee, Manny Solorzano, is here with me. He did not get an email to do this training, but he is actually here with me doing the training. So do you have to record that we've done this training? I mean, he's going to register for the app, and then I'll just give you, or he'll just give you the code?
Yes.
Okay.
And then what I can do is I can actually forward the initial email, just in case you want to review any of the materials, because there is the mobile app instructions that you just saw in the video.
Right.
They're also in that, so I can send that along. It could have been, we might not have an updated email address, but I can connect with you after it, and I can give a call and just confirm. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. Any additional questions? All right. I
have.
Okay.
I have just one last question.
Sure.
My name is Eileen Rivera. I called my work number.
Yes.
So do I call you afterwards after we download this app? I just want I want to make sure that they know that I called in.
Yes, I actually wrote it down.
Okay, from Wayne, New Jersey. You got that? You have that one? Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to be, all right, good. All right, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Perfect, no problem. All right, so again, thank you all for attending this training. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate continued support and working with you all. And if you have any additional questions that you come up with later on, you can respond to the email that was previously sent, or you can reach out to our customer service team. And like I said, I look forward to connecting with you all later on, and let me know if you need any assistance throughout the process. Okay, have a good day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.